Welcome to the Wisdom to Wealth podcast. This is the podcast where we interview the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world. I am your host, Shamar Star Cox, TV producer and marketing coach. My goal is to help 6 and 7 figure business owners create binge-worthy content that attracts and converts their followers into customers. If you are a business owner or a coach and you are looking to learn how to create content that sells, I am also the founder of the Convert Content to Cash Challenge, where we show you how to create video content that not just attracts your ideal customers, but it builds deep relationships with them so that now, instead of you getting comments that saying, nice outfit, you're so inspiring, you're actually getting comments that say, how can I buy from you? Today on the show, we have, excuse me. Oh, if you want access to the challenge, feel free to DM the word challenge accepted. If you are on Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok, you can DM the word challenge accepted, and I will personally send you an invite. Today, we have the lovely Amanda Moxley with us. She is an international business coach, blessed by God. Come on now. Blessed by God with 20 years of experience. Amanda is best known for helping her clients create wealth in a weekend. I'm looking forward to us diving into this. While most business coaches help their clients have 6-figure years, Amanda coaches her clients to have 6-figure paydays. Amanda is the creator of the Wealth in a Weekend Challenge, which walks you through how to assemble your audience, turn your words to wealth, and generate a year's worth of income in just one weekend through the power of profitable live and virtual events, retreats, and workshops. Amanda, thank you so much for being with us on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's just dive right into before we dive into your story, how did you come up with this concept, this proven concept that you help coaches and business owners create wealth in a weekend? Just show them the steps on how they can do this. How did you come up with it?
Well, I decided to do my first event and I made 150,000 in 3 days. And then I didn't think it was a big deal. I just was like going along with my life. And this woman, her name's Carolyn. She said, Amanda, can you please teach me how to do that? Because you look like, I live in Utah. I have a really great lifestyle. I'm always in the mountains. I'm skiing, I'm biking, I'm hiking, I'm traveling. I was living in Hawaii. And she said, you barely are working. Can you teach me how to do an event? And I was like, oh, sure. I mean, I totally helped her. And then she made a 400,000 in the weekend. I mean, because I had invested $30,000 to learn how to do this, how to position it, how to market, how to lead, how to fill these events. And then I was successful with it. And then I had my own way of doing it, because the first time I did it, I put so much money into hiring all this staff and all these bells and whistles and everything. And then I learned how to do it in a way that you can go into it in the green versus so stressed that you have to make money. And if you don't, then you're in the red. So that's how it all started.
I love that. I love that you said there was a way that you were doing it before. You hired all this staff and you were going into it pretty much in the red, but then you learned how to go into it in the green. So you're not in debt, you're not borrowing, you're not paying outside. You went in the green so
Yes.
that any money you made from your event was just more money added onto it. So I love that you were able to learn that and then start teaching others into doing that. So tell us, how did you get from where you were before, like go from zero to wealth where you are now?
Well, like you mentioned, I've been blessed by God for 20 years. So it's been a long journey. But I would say if I were to break it down, the first thing would be to own the desire that mama's got to make some money. So owning the desire, I desire to possess the land. I know we're Christians, so we're going to drop some Bible on you guys, but it's like, I'm going to possess that promised land. I'm going to take that territory. I'm going to expand my territory. So really owning the desire, like I am claiming it. It's like Caleb's daughter who got off her horse when they got into the promised land. And she said, no, Papa, I want that land over there by the springs. I want that really choice land. So own your desire. The second thing is you have to make the decision and draw the line in the sand that you are done, capital D, done with money drama, with lack, with all the lower vibe, with the struggle bus, that you make the decision that you are claiming it and that you absolutely decide to claim that promised land. And the third step is I'm claiming it. Like I am claiming this thing. So that means investing. That means learning new skills. That means getting in new rooms. That means learning and putting yourself out there when you're not sure, and more importantly, picking yourself back up over and over and over again. Yeah.
I love that. And as you were talking, I wrote in the chat and I asked, have you ever made $100,000 in 1 to 3 days? And, we have some people who are writing in the chat, yes and no, but soon will. And so I want to say, for those of you who said
Mhm.
not yet, absolutely, it will happen very much soon for you. And I love the steps that you shared, Amanda, which was all the steps you shared were very spiritual, right? It
Mhm.
was very much, I got to believe that I can do it,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to claim that I can do it. And I'm going to declare that I can do it.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to move forward to do it. And I like that you started off with this, right? Because oftentimes people say, okay, make $100,000 in a couple of days. I'm just going to start doing, right? But
Yeah.
there is a belief that we have to believe first, right?
Mhm.
Our mind and our body have to come into alignment before we can actually start doing the thing, right? And so
Right.
what we're getting at right now is be, do, have. You have to be the person who could do the thing to have the stuff. So you already know what the outcome is. I'm going to have
Mhm.
$100,000 at the end of 1 to 3 days. But who do I need to be? And I like that you talked about this mindset.
Mhm.
Who do I need to be? Right. So talk us through, how did you get to who do I need to be? Like, how did you know this is who I need to be in order to hit this goal? And then how did you get to there? And I know God is very big on your journey. So share with us how God helped you to become this person.
Well, I think the first thing is to really get intimate with your numbers and realize a lot of people who are spiritual, they don't want to look at their numbers. They don't want to look at the details. They don't want to look at what's really happening. So step one is you have to know how much money is going out and understand that, and being okay with asking for that. Um so really, I mean, God, like really owning the desire, having bigger desires than just paying my bills. It's like I had this dream to move into our dream house. I had a dream to live in Hawaii for 3 months. And I really believe that God does give us the desires of our heart, right? As long as we're not harming other people. And so I would say really owning the desires of your heart, allowing yourself to dream, allowing yourself to think big, allowing yourself to really be honest with yourself. What do you really, 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 truly desire? What do you want? Because we're creators. We are created in God's likeness and image. And so it's like, if he can create the world in 7 days, and then he gave Adam the power to name things, so we can name things, and then we can say, hey, this is what I want, and now let's go for it. Woohoo! Allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to want what you want, right? And I think a lot of people don't let themselves dream. But here's the deal, is like, I believe that the people will then see the fruit on you, and they'll say, well, how are you doing this? And then we point them to God. It's like, well, it's not me, it's God, actually, the one true God. It's not some, I'm just going to go off on a thing. It's not, no offense to everyone, but it's okay. Someone had to do it to me too. But like, it's not some new age law of attraction thing. All that came from the Bible. It's all in the word of God first. And so it's not like me, I'm going to manifest and I'm going to do it, because honestly, that little me, I show gets really old, because then the ego comes in when you don't manifest. So when we surrender and get out of our own way and let God, and we give him the glory and trust him in the process, that is really, that's been a huge thing for me, because I'm a control freak. I think most entrepreneurs are. I wouldn't call myself a control freak, but I just did call myself that. But I like to feel in control. Anyone else like to feel in control? So it's just like, okay, this is what I desire, but there's some room for surrender. I'm going to trust God through this process.
Girl, you said so much, and I'm over
I
here.
know.
I'm trying to contain myself. Okay, I have to touch on this because you brought it up. You were like the law of attraction, all of those different laws that people implement for New Age. It's all in the Bible, and
Yeah.
it's true. It is all in the Bible, because that is the power that God has given us when we are using it with Him. When we start using it with another spirit, now what happens is we think it's working for us, but it's actually working against us, right? Because we're no longer in alignment with God. And so you'll see people acquiring the wealth, but then having bad health. They're
Yeah.
acquiring the wealth, but then they're stressed and they're angry, or they don't have good friendships around them because they're no longer in alignment with God. And there's always a cost for when you are utilizing these things. And sometimes they don't think about that. So I love that you pinpointed that and was like, hey, look, you're into New Age, you're into law of attraction. That's all focused on you. That is a ploy of the enemy to get you to focus on you so that you don't have to focus on God, but there's a cost
Mhm.
that you're going to pay, right? And so when you come back into alignment with God, you can do these things with God, but then you start to recognize it's not coming through me and my own efforts. There's a partnership here. And
Yeah.
having that partnership is really important. That's the reason why God always gives us a duality, works and faith. It says faith without works is dead, right? Because the faith part is with God, the works is with us. So we need both of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many other examples of that. So I love that you shared that. Another thing that you talked about, and you said this in your earlier statement, you pretty much said, I did the spiritual things, right? Because our goal is to manifest. There's nothing wrong with manifestation. I know some people are afraid of that, but some Christians are afraid of it. But manifestation only means bringing what's in the unseen world into the seen world. So bringing your
Mm-hmm.
ideas into action. Like that's only what manifestation means, right? And so you started off, you gave us the steps. You were like, you need to believe it, you need to claim it, you need to declare it. And then you said something that was so powerful. You said, and then you need to acquire the skills. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just this magical juju, I'm going to believe, I'm going to
Yeah.
pray. It was, now I have to acquire the skills, whether I am hiring a coach, I am going to school, but there's some part of you who have to actually start doing the work. And I think oftentimes people get into this spooky area where all they're doing is believing, praying, hoping. And I can't even really say that they're believing, praying, hoping. What they're really doing is just saying things with their mouth. Because when it comes to belief, your behavior aligns with it. When it comes to hope, your faith aligns with it. So if you have no action steps with what you're hoping for or believing, nothing's going to happen. So I really love that you talked about the skill set piece and hiring the coach. And so I want to
Mm-hmm.
ask you, once you declared it, you believed it, you're becoming the person, God is leading you. What skill sets did you realize you needed to acquire in order for you to acquire your wealth?
Well, speaking, learning to speak, learning to sell, speaking and selling, marketing, being visible, but doing it in a persuasive way that activates the gap between, hey, I understand where you are, the consequences of where you are, how it feels, how it tastes, how it is, and here's where you want to be. And being able to articulate that bridge for your people so that they can say, oh, wow, she can actually help me, or he can help me get from here to there. So really learning the ability to speak and to sell, as well as learning how to communicate and turn your words to wealth. There's so many things. I mean, you got to learn technology. I mean, CRM, you have to learn marketing, you have to learn finances. There's so many skills. Honestly, if you knew how much you had to do before starting out, I don't know if you would actually do it. You might just stick with your job, just stick with your job, because it's a real thing. It's there, but it's, if you love personal growth and personal development, you will never get anything like this in a job, I don't think.
I love it. I love that you started with your core. Like you didn't just jump in with CRM funnels and all that stuff. You started with your core, which is your moneymaker, which is learning how
Mhm.
to speak and speak very well in a way that you can communicate with others. And that's
Mhm.
actually what you help your clients with too. So what are like 2 or 3 steps or tips that you can share with people who want to move into starting their own business? Because learning how to speak is not just for people who are speakers. Like we have to be
Mhm.
great communicators as business owners. So what are like 2 to 3 tips that you can share for people who are in their business, they want to scale, they're just starting out, they want to get to 6 figures? What are some 2 or 3 speaking tips that you can share with them?
Well, you need to solve a planes crashing problem. You need to solve a problem that people actually have and that they will pay for. Because if you're not solving, a lot of people will just go out there and be like, I'm really passionate about, this looks gross, but making juice. I'm really excited about juice, but is it really solving a problem? I'm sure it is. It's solving a lot of problems. So what is it that really, really, really is a problem that people have in the marketplace? And then the second thing is a seminar story. So what is your story? And a lot of times your story is as close as your neck vein. You can't see it. So you walk through some things. You had a mess that you want to turn into your message. We've all heard it. I'm actually thinking of a new niche currently. And this is a really big mess that God walked us through. And I am like, do I really want to share that? Like sometimes it's like a vulnerability hangover, but I really am contemplating with you guys, it's like, what have you really been on your knees and you're like, Lord, if I can heal this, if I can break through this, I will help as many people as I possibly can. So really incorporating your story, and then through your story, you're able to then create your signature process. What were the steps that you personally walked yourself through, where you learned the new skills to go from A to Z, to get the transformation? Because you are a living testimony of your breakthrough. People see that in you. So start to ask yourself, or start to listen, what are people saying they like about you? What is it about you that they admire? It could be like, for me, I'm married now for almost 20 years this summer. I have 2 beautiful children. I'm healthy. I'm almost 50, and I have this. I love health, and so I have a seminar story about all of those things, because I've gone through a transformation in all of those areas. I had 2 home water births, all the good things. So start to journal. What is it that you're passionate about? But what do people see in your life? What's the fruit in your life? And how can you help people? And what problem are you solving?
I love that. I feel like of everything that you shared, my favorite part is, what is the problem that you're solving? Because oftentimes when business owners are just starting out, in their minds, they're just like, this is what I want to sell. I'm passionate about this, and this is what I want to sell. And I have a friend, she'll actually be on with us, Chanel, who's in our accountability group. Actually, I'm not sure she's still on Instagram right now, but she's going to be on with us tomorrow. And she talks about, like, your passion not going to make you money. It's not a sustainable business, right? And so I feel like we're touching on that a little bit, because a lot of people, they go, I'm passionate about this and I'm passionate about this. And it's nice. You could turn your passion to profits, right? But your passions have to solve a problem. Like, the reason why you're starting your business is so that you can serve. And you're not starting the business to just serve you. You're starting it to serve others. Like, when I think about Jesus, when he came to this world, he had one mission, right? His mission was to save the world. That's what I'm going to do. But he had a marketing strategy. He had a 2-step marketing strategy in order to do this. And the first thing was to grow his following. And the second thing was to convert his followers into believers. But the number one thing he had to answer when he was growing his following was, what problem am I solving? Right? Because he had to have them see that there was a problem in order for them to come to him. Right. And so I just love that you talked about really, like, if you're going to start a business, if you're going to sell something, what is it? Do it based on the problem that you're solving, and not just based on this passion that you have, because I really like making cups. Like, that just, it's not going to sell to anyone. And so did you want to add to that before I ask you this question?
Well, and the whole point of business also is to make a profit. And so you have to solve a big enough problem that people will actually value that payoff and that transformation more than the money in their pocket. They have to be willing to exchange that. So ask yourself, would I personally pay? So the other thing is, how you make wealth in a weekend is you have to charge more money. Do the math. I mean, that's just 10 people at 10,000 or 4 people at 25,000 to make 100K. And you could do that in a day, a weekend, a half a day, a month, the time. So I'll just say something about time. So it's all going to happen. It's just going to take time. And so how many of you guys are just like high achievers? I won it yesterday. Get me in the ring. Like, I'm ready to go. Okay, we are. So I had to really reframe the word time. And my new definition of time, which you guys might want to write down, is transform intentionally my emotions. TIME, transform intentionally my emotions. So you have to really have emotional mastery as an entrepreneur. You can't get mad because someone, didn't invite you to the party, or you got a really mean tweet. Transform intentionally my emotions. Exactly. So honestly, that is huge. Emotional mastery is huge. You have to discipline your disappointment. Yeah.
First of all, that needs to be on a shirt. You need to discipline your disappointment, okay?
Right? Because you're going to get disappointed.
You are, and you're going to get rejected too. Like, I see some people, they don't even want to step out in the ring because they just don't even want to be rejected. I know I used to be like that. And honestly, before I even started a business, God had to deliver me from the spirit of rejection, because that spirit was on me so heavy. I had no idea he was going to tell me to start a business. He delivered me from the spirit of direction of rejection, probably 1 year before I started my business. I didn't know. I just thought I needed to be delivered and that's it. But like God is really intentional. Like he sees the
Yes.
things that are holding you back and he's like, I got to heal you from this. And
Hmm.
one thing that I noticed too is when you start a business, all your trauma pops up.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when you talk about disciplining the disappointment, like God just freed me from a trauma that I had as a 5-year old with my
Right.
daddy. And because he freed me from that, I'm now like, I'm ready for our next level. I was stuck. Like God had given me a vision. This is your goal for 2025. And I was
Hmm.
kind of sort of like, oh, I guess maybe, I don't know. And I was really stuck in that. And when he showed me why I was stuck and he freed me from it,
Hmm.
I just saw a clear path to get to it. So I love that you shared that time. If you haven't coined it, Amanda, please do put a trademark on it
Oh,
because
yes.
that is amazing. And so I want to ask you, what is the one thing that you help your clients with when it comes to solving the problem or identifying the problem? What is one thing you can share that really helps them like, oh, this is the problem?
Honestly, journaling. Journal out your story. What are some things that you might even be embarrassed to share or talk about, or you've only shared it with a couple of people? I would say really getting real to get rich with your own story and transformation and see if it solves a problem. Because if you're intimate with a problem and you personally have overcome it and you have a skill and a gift in it, I think God gave you that mess so that you could go and share that message with people. It seems so easy, and I'm facing something right now where I'm literally thinking about one next level to my coaching. I was a health coach when I first started 20 years ago, and then I'm a business coach. So it's a journey. I don't think we're meant to stay in the same thing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that you didn't just jump into write down 10 things that you can do right now to help you solve the problem. It really was journaling your story. And
Yeah.
then you said a term, I'm going to butcher it, but you pretty much said, oh, you said journal your story and then be real with your riches,
Get
right?
real to get rich.
Get real to get rich. That's it right there. And
Yeah.
that's so important because there's a lot of us when we're starting our business, even before we start our business, we're not getting real to get rich, right? There's a block there, which maybe I don't even know if God wants me to have these riches. I don't even know
Mm-hmm.
if God wants me to be wealthy. I see a lot of Christians go through this, and because of that, they undercharge or they
Mm-hmm.
don't fully show up because there is a seed that has a root that is deep within them from when even before they were born, deep within them, making them think that poverty equals piety, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. Like it when you
True.
read, and it's crazy. You reading the Bible, we're reading the Old Testament, and we're seeing that all the heavy hitters in faith
Yes.
were wealthy. They were righteously rich. So I love that you talked about this journaling piece because you get to really identify like what is holding me back? What is my story? Let me be one with this story, even though it causes shame. Did you want to add anything
Mm-hmm.
to that?
Yeah, just exactly. And just understanding, like, if you have heard, if you want to be a coach or a speaker, it's important to be intimate with that pain and that problem and then the promised land and the payoff that you're now living. And if you can feel that, and the other key thing is to understand your ideal client. I know we've all heard it, but we're selling to people, we're selling to audiences, we're serving to audiences and people. And so the more that you understand, and the best way to understand the problem and the payoff is through your own story because you've personally walked through it. So allowing yourself to go there. Yeah. And
I
honestly, it can be so easy once you go there because you're all of a sudden what's going to happen is when your audience is listening to you speak or they're listening to your videos or they're reading your copy, they're going to say, is she or he in my journal? I literally said this in my journal last night and now they are saying this. This is crazy. This is my person. I need to work with them. I need to keep listening to them.
I love it. I love it. Like really being in tune because a lot of the
Mhm.
things that we go through so that we can help to set people free. Right. And
Yes.
so when we start sharing our intimate moments, people are like, oh my goodness, you see me. And I always share with my clients, like people will buy when they feel seen and heard. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, we talk about know, like, and trust. That's true too. But how many
Mhm.
people know, like, and trust you and still not buying from you? I got
True.
family and friends who know, like, and trust me. They don't buy from me. Right.
Yep.
And it's because they don't feel seen and heard in the stories that I'm sharing. I mean, also they're
Mhm.
not my ideal client. That's why they wouldn't feel seen and heard. But that's really important.
Yes.
And so I want to go ahead and read some of the comments that have been coming in on Instagram as well as on YouTube. And so Chanel says, yep, dream bigger than your bills. Woo, come on now. One of her money blocks is I didn't have hope and I stopped dreaming. So that was one of her money blocks. Mohan said authority and dominion. Yes. And she asked this question, what if you have so many ideas? Right. So like, what if you have so many ideas? Did you want to, I answered it in the chat, but I actually wanted to give you the opportunity to answer.
Yeah, I would find the one that is really the payoff. So what you have to choose one. So I would find a niche that is either in the health, wealth, or relationships. So pick one and usually, and then think about, if I have too many ideas, a lot of times people will just go in that spinning, and that's an excuse for procrastination. So at some point, let's say, okay, I'm going to fast, I'm going to pray, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks, but I have to make a decision. Remember, that was step 2 is deciding. So if you have too many ideas, focus on who the ideal client, which one are you excited about that you could talk about all day? It doesn't feel like work, and that you personally overcome, and which one is more lucrative. If you really want to, if you're starting a business, which one's going to pay you more? And usually solving a business problem, I mean, honestly, you could argue the case for all 3 of those niches. So which one will give you the payoff, and which one are you the most passionate about speaking about?
I love it. And Mohan, I actually know her personally. She is a powerful, she has a powerful hair brand for Black women. And it's like, it's amazing. Right. And so I had shared inside the chat, if you have too many ideas, to remember that there's, what was the scripture? There's a season for everything under the sun. Yes. Right. So those ideas are given to you by God, right? So choose which idea you should be working on in which season, because there will come another season for you to work on the next idea. So I love that you shared that, because you were like, choose the one that's lucrative. And I think sometimes people choose the one that doesn't make a lot of money because I just want to help people. Like I come across business owners where they want to start a nonprofit, but they don't really know how to run a nonprofit, or they want to talk to people and do charity work right now. And I'm like, you're not in a charity work season. You're in a wealth building season. You need to take time to build the wealth. When you build the wealth, you want to have the overflow. And from the overflow, you want to create your charity work. I keep seeing people doing it backwards. And I'm like, unless you know how to acquire the funds needed for a nonprofit, go start a for-profit, learn how to acquire wealth, learn how to build wealth, and learn how to pass it down so that then you can move into your next thing. Like when you often see the big names like Oprah, Warren Buffett, they didn't start off with their charities. They started off acquiring wealth and building wealth. And then from there, they were like, well, now we can help the world. Sometimes, especially Christians, they're trying to help the world and you don't got nothing to give. And it's like, that don't make no sense, right?
When you realize people see the fruit on your life, then work on you, grow the fruit on your life, let God grow the fruit and the promised land on your life. And then you can go and become a philanthropy. And the thing is, you can always tithe, right? Tithing 10%, you're going to be giving a lot.
Come on now. That is a real thing. All right. So you blessed us with so many gems today. You started off by sharing with us that we need to believe, claim, declare, and then go after the skill sets, right? You talked about choosing one thing that's going to solve this problem that your ideal clients have that is going to be lucrative. Like we can't forget about that. Another thing you talked about that we didn't really get to touch on was raising your prices. Like if you're going to acquire a certain amount of wealth in a short amount of time, you're going to need some high ticket items, right? So I want you to share with us how people can work with you, right? Because you're helping them to acquire this in just one weekend. So I'll drop your links in the chat, but share with us how people can work with you.
Okay, so I have a masterclass called Wealth in a Weekend Masterclass. It's a free masterclass. It will walk you through. It'll give you an incredible, thank you. It will give you an incredible PDF that will give you ideas on how you can create wealth in a weekend, how you can market your events, lead your events. And these can be retreats. They can be 3 people. You really, like, I remember one of my clients, I can't remember exactly right now. I'm just going to say, I know for me, I did at the very start of my business, I did a signature talk. I did a talk with 3 people and 2 people became clients. So it'll also give you the budget to go into your event as well. I also have a free school group with lots of resources on how to speak to sell. It's called Speak to Sell Collective, and it's on school. So I'd love to have you guys there. Tons of resources, PDFs, trainings, all the great things. And obviously, if you want to continue to have the conversation with me, you can book a call after watching that masterclass.
Awesome. And I also put on the screen your Wealth in a Weekend workshop if you wanted to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. So I have, just like Star, but similar, I have a 5-day challenge. And on this Wealth in a Weekend workshop, what you can do is you can get a book for free. I wrote a book called 6-Figure Speaker. It sold over 3,000 copies recently. And so you can get that. And on the other side, then you're going to see the information for the 5-day workshop, which is coming up. And I'll give you the signature talk template, 33 ways to get booked to speak. And it will help you if you want to speak your way to success.
Love it. Love it. So for all of you who are tuning in, you have access to all of the links. I dropped it on Instagram. I dropped it on YouTube, LinkedIn. You can get it inside the description. And then for those of you who will join us on the replay, the links will also be in the description. So go ahead and get access to the masterclass. It is free. Get access to the Wealth in a Weekend workshop so that you can also start to do the things in order for you to acquire the wealth that you desire. And so, Amanda, before we wrap up, two things. I want to bring this up because you just said it. You said you don't even need a lot of people. You said your first thing was 3 people in the room, you converted to, you made a lot of money. And
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Like my very first time that I actually had 10K in a month was because I got 7 sales that month. Like I spoke to a lot of people, but all I needed was 7 people to convert. So I really loved that you talked about that. And so I want to ask you this question. What is the one thing that you implemented into your business or one decision that you made for your business that really took it to the next level?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to say that everything comes down to a habit and stacking your habits. So finding everything that you're learning here on the internet, it's about creating a new skill. But in order to implement the skill, you have to stack it with a habit. So bringing that. So for example, if I have this habit of doing a daily reel, I do it the 1 minute before I leave the house to take my kids to school, because that's a stackable habit. So find stack your habits to success. That honestly, a couple of books I read, one of them was The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod in 2018. The second book was Tiny Habits, Power of Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg. He's a Stanford psychologist. So those books were amazing.
I love it. Habit stacking is my thing.
It is?
Yeah, I love habit stacking. I was learning Spanish last year because every time I took a lunch break, I would just go on Duolingo and start doing Spanish. It's how I get better at anything that I'm doing. Like I just make sure that I habit stack. And Atomic Habits is also a really good book. I forgot the author's name right now, but that's actually the book that I read that helped me to understand what I was doing. I was already doing it, but it gave me language for it. I'm like, oh, okay. I love it. So Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today. You have been such a blessing. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us. Thanks to everyone who tuned in on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. Again, the replay will be available. We will have our next episode tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern. We do have a powerful guest who is going to be coming on and sharing how you can actually turn your ideas into income. Especially if you're in your 9-to-5 still and you want to be able to move from your 9-to-5 into building your business, then feel free to tune in tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern for our next episode. Everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye.